For my 21st birthday, my parents offered me $50, claiming, "Your grandmother mailed this for you." After 1 month, my grandma arrived, inquiring, "Did the $10,000 I sent for your birthday reach you?" My response, "Just $50" came. Then my grandma slammed that table, and her screams erupted. Can you imagine finding out your own family, the people who are supposed to love and protect you, had been stealing from you for years? Not just a little, but a life-changing amount of money. And then, when confronted, they try to make you feel ungrateful? What the hell would you do? My name is Caleb, I'm 21, and for most of my life, I was the background kid, the reliable one, the one who knew where the light bulbs were, the one who just showed up. My older brother, Mason, was the star, all smiles and loud laughs. My little sister, Ivy, was the sensitive project. And me? I was the fill-in, the one who ran to the store, carried chairs, took photos nobody ever printed. My parents, my dad, a used car salesman always making deals for other people's kids, and my mom, who kept tabs on church potlucks. They just expected me to be there, like a piece of furniture. The one person who never treated me like a shadow was my grandma. She's the anchor, the reason our family pretends to be polite. She's the one with the old doctor money from my grandpa's trust. It's this invisible hand that pays for college, braces, down payments. And it's the visible hook my parents kept dangling in front of us. I work nights as a waiter. Mid-price restaurant, laminated menus, a birthday song that makes your ears ring. I'm mostly cheerful there. You have to be when you're carrying 5 plates at once. But the night I turned 21, I came home after a double shift, exhausted. There was a sheet cake on the counter, plastic forks in a mug. Surprise. Mom chirped, like she'd been planning it for months. Dad clapped me on the shoulder. Mason snapped a selfie, tagged it #FamilyTime. Ivy sang off-key. We did the candles. Cut the cake. I made a wish that didn't even make sense to me. Then, Dad pulled a folded bill from his pocket, slid it across the table like a hotel tip. "Your grandma sent this for you." It was $50. 50, I blurted, before I could stop myself. Mom's smile tightened. "Don't be ungrateful, Caleb." I just put it in my wallet, said thank you, and tried to swallow the weird, bitter taste in my mouth. A month later, Grandma came to visit. We were at that same kitchen table, cake crumbs still in the grooves. She leaned her cane against her chair, took my hand, and asked, soft but clear, "Did you get the 10,000 I sent for your birthday?" My blood went cold. "I only got 50, I heard myself say. Grandma's face changed. Oh, it changed. She slammed her palm on the table so hard the forks rattled. "What?" she shouted, her voice ringing down the hall. "What did they give you?" Mom's smile cracked. Dad stared at the ceiling. Mason just said, "Whoa." And that was when everything started unraveling. See, the thing about being the background kid is you start believing you're lucky to get scraps. When I was 12, Mason got braces and a beach trip because confidence matters. When I chipped a tooth, Mom said, "We'll smooth it out when we can." That tooth stayed chipped. When I was 15, I started busting tables, and I discovered tips. Suddenly, my money wasn't theoretical. It was crumpled bills that smelled faintly of ketchup. Dad would see the roll in my pocket and say, "Proud of you, son," then immediately follow with, "You mind covering gas?" Things are tight. I minded, but I handed it over. Family helps family, Mom would say. Translation, Caleb helps. Mason always had a list of needs that sounded a lot like wants. New cleats, a better phone, a networking suit. Ivy actually did need therapy, and I never complained about that. But somehow my tips kept ending up as co-pays and parking money for Mom. It wasn't once. It was a pattern. I even kept a note on my phone. $25 gas, $40 Ivy's appointment, $60 Mason emergency. $120, will repay Friday. That Friday never came. I stopped tracking at $2,380 because seeing the total just made me feel stupid. Grandma tried to keep things fair with the trust. She gave each of us grandkids a number. There's a portion for school, a portion for a first car, a portion for your 21st. It wasn't unlimited. It was structured. Grandpa was careful. Structured was his favorite word. But my parents? They treated the trust like a faucet they could just lean on. They were the communication point with the trustee. Grandma forgets passwords. It's complicated. They filled out forms. They moved money. If I asked questions, Dad would sigh. "You don't understand how trusts work." Mom would say, "We're keeping you safe from taxes." Mason would just shrug. "Dude, relax." And I did. I relaxed because when you grow up in a family like this, the easiest way to survive is to just go limp. I worked those late shifts, learned to carry 5 plates, learned which booths tipped, and which families brought their own ranch and stiffed you. I smiled through, "Hey, champ, can you rush that?" from a guy who called me Kyle all night. And I stashed my cash in an envelope under a loose floorboard in my room. If it sat in my wallet too long, it grew legs. At home, the small humiliations piled up. Mom texting, "Pick up your sister after class. You owe us." Dad using my car because his was in the shop again, returning it on E. Mason borrowing my laptop and not returning it for a week. And always, that phrase, like a chorus, "We're family. We share." Grandma didn't visit much. She hated how my parents spoke over her. She told me once, at the bank, "I hate feeling like a checkbook with shoes." I laughed then felt bad for laughing. But she's sharp. Her hands shake a little now, but her eyes are clear. When Grandpa died, she wore his watch on a ribbon around her neck and said, "We'll do this right." The trust was supposed to make things simpler, not uglier. Around the time I turned 21, my parents started talking about big plans. Mason wanted to start a detailing business. No plan, no spreadsheet, just vibes. Ivy wanted a trip abroad to find herself after a rough semester. Dad wanted to expand his car lot. Mom wanted to redo the kitchen. Every plan had a dollar sign attached. And every plan had my name in it somehow. "Caleb, you could co-sign for Mason," Dad said casually over meatloaf. "Your credit is clean." "It's a bad idea," I said. Mom frowned. "Why are you so negative?" Mason just grinned. "You're the best, bro." I said I didn't agree. Dad's jaw tightened. "We're just discussing." I looked at Grandma's framed photo on the piano. Grandpa's face in black and white next to hers. He had that serious doctor look, like he could see right through you. I wanted to ask the photo what to do. I wanted a grown-up in the room who wasn't already decided against me. A week before my birthday, Mom mentioned, "Grandma is sending something for you. Don't expect a lot." She was fuzzy on the amount. "Okay," I shrugged. I didn't expect anything massive. Maybe a few hundred for my breaks. Then came the $50 bill on the table. I went quiet. I kept working. "Don't be weird about it," the voice in my head said. "Money is awkward." Maybe Grandma kept the rest for something else. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe Mom paid for my cake and candles, and the $50 was a top-off. That voice, the one that always scolded me, said, "Stop counting, Caleb." But then Grandma came to town. She asked the question. I gave the answer. And she slammed the table. In that instant, the trust wasn't invisible anymore. It was loud. It had sharp corners. "Mom, you must be mistaken," Dad said, smooth as syrup. "I am not mistaken," Grandma snapped. I told Samuel, the trustee, to send $10,000 to Caleb's custodial account for his 21st. It's written into the trust. It's been written for years. Mom touched her forehead like she had a headache. "We didn't see that." "Then open your eyes," Grandma said. Silence pulled tight across the table. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification from the bank. Low balance. The irony made me want to laugh. My parents exchanged a look. Mason looked at me like I was being dramatic. Ivy looked like she wanted to disappear. Grandma said, "Calm now?" Dangerous calm. Her eyes fixed on me. "Caleb, did anyone ask you to sign anything recently?" Dad jumped in. "We handle the paperwork, Mom." Grandma ignored him. "Caleb," I swallowed. "Dad wanted me to co-sign a loan for Mason." "And you said?" she asked. "No, I managed." "Good," Grandma said, her eyes on Dad. "Then do not sign anything they put in front of you." "Mom," Dad said in that voice he used on stubborn customers. "Enough," Grandma leaned back. "No, not enough." And that was the moment I understood the thing I'd been pretending not to know. The trust wasn't a faucet. It was a well with rules. And someone had been lowering their own bucket before mine for a very long time. Grandma asked me to come by the next afternoon. "No parents. Bring your bank statements," she said. "Bring anything they've asked you to sign this year." Her voice was soft. Her jaw was set like granite. I showed up with a folder and a coffee. She opened the door before I knocked. "You look tired," she said. "I work nights," I said. "We all work," she replied. "Come in." We sat at her kitchen table. No cake this time, just papers. She read every line, tapping spots with her finger making little sounds in her throat that meant she was cataloging unfairness. There were withdrawals labeled household reimbursement. There were advances for Mason's business. And then, there it was, a transfer 2 weeks before my birthday for $10,000 from the trust to a joint account titled with my name and my parents'. I'd never seen that account. My signature was on the form, but the signature wasn't mine. "Is that your handwriting?" Grandma asked. "No," I said. She took a photo of it with her phone and sent it to someone named Samuel. Then she picked up her landline. "Come over," she said into the receiver. "Now." She hung up before the person could answer. An hour later, my parents walked in without knocking. Mason followed, hands in his hoodie. Ivy stayed in the car. Mom put on her nurse smile. "Mom, what is this?" Grandma didn't move. "Where is Caleb's $10,000? Dad laughed, like we were acting. "Mom, for the love of where?" Grandma said again. "Is Caleb's $10,000? Mason shifted. "It went to expenses." "Whose expenses?" Grandma asked, her eyes never leaving Dad. "Family's," Dad said quickly. "We had to float some things. We planned to make it right." "Planned," Grandma repeated, like the word was sour. Mom looked at me. "Caleb, don't make a scene." I heard my own voice come out, surprisingly calm. "You forged my signature." Mom flinched. "We handle paperwork because you're young." "I'm 21, I said. Dad tried the tone that always worked before. "You're being ungrateful. Your grandmother has done so much. We've done so much. We put a roof over your head. We fed you. We," Grandma cut him off. "You are not going to itemize parenting to the child you stole from." "Stole." The word landed like a dropped plate. Mason threw up his hands. "It's money, okay? It's not like we burned it in a barrel. We used it for the family." "I'm the family." I stared at him. "And I'm what?" He looked away. Grandma folded her hands. "Here's what is going to happen. You will transfer the full $10,000 to Caleb today. Not tomorrow. Today. You will remove your names from any accounts with his. You will return the trustee's calls. You will stop using him as a co-signer, chauffeur, or piggy bank." Mom's voice turned sugary. "Mom, you're confused." Grandma stood. "Confused? I may forget where I left my reading glasses, but I do not forget theft." Dad's face hardened. "We are not doing this in front of the kids." I looked at him. "We already are." He took a step toward me. "Watch your tone." I felt something click in me, like a door I'd kept bolted finally swinging open. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't pleading. I was done. "No," I said. "I'm done watching anything. I'm not signing anything. I'm not handing over tips. I'm not co-signing. I'm not covering gas. I'm not lying to Grandma. If you need money, get a job that pays it. If you need help, ask honestly and accept no as an answer." Mom started to cry. The show cry, the one with no tears at first. "How can you be so cruel?" I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping the floor. The room went silent. Grandma exhaled long and steady. "I'll be calling the trustee and the attorney," she said. "You can stay for coffee, or you can leave, but this ends today." Dad stared at me like I'd broken a spell. Mom wiped her dry cheeks. Mason muttered drama under his breath. I picked up my folder. I kissed Grandma's cheek. "Love you," I said. She squeezed my hand. "I love you too, Caleb." I walked past my parents and felt them trying to pull me back with looks, with habits, with the invisible hooks they'd used all my life. They didn't work. The door opened. The air outside felt like the first real breath I'd taken in years. The messages started that night. 22 missed calls by midnight. 57 by morning. A long text from Mom at 3:11 a.m. "You broke your father's heart." Another at 3:16. "We forgive you." Another at 3:18. "Return the car keys." I don't own their car. Dad's voicemail at 6:02 a.m. "We need to talk like adults." Another at 6:30. "I'm coming by." Another at 6:45. "Answer your phone, boy." Mason's text at noon. "Bro, you made it weird." I muted them. I went to work. I refilled iced tea. I said no onions to the kitchen. I smiled at tourists and scribbled checks with practiced loops. I felt hollow and weirdly light at the same time. By 4 p.m., Grandma had done more in 10 hours than I had done in 10 years. She called the trustee. She froze my parents' communication. Move a dresser into the attic at midnight. I said yes to lunch with Grandma every Tuesday. On the third Tuesday, she handed me a thin envelope from Samuel. Inside was a letter in normal person English, not legalese. It said the trust had confirmed the unauthorized transfer and would be reversing and reallocating funds according to the original terms. It said a notary would be present Friday to remove my name from any joint accounts and to record my refusal to co-sign any loans. It said I could choose a new contact for trust matters. I chose Grandma. "Thank you," I said. "You did that." Grandma said, "You told the truth out loud." I laughed once. It felt like a crime. "It was the opposite," she said. "That night Mom called from a different number. Your grandmother is turning you against us," she said, without a hello. "No," I said. "You did that." "How can you be so ungrateful?" she asked. "We raised you." "You raised me," I said. "You didn't purchase me." She started crying. Real tears. "I think we just needed help, Caleb." "I know," I said. "Ask for help. Don't take it. You could ruin this family." "This family was already ruined," I said, and it felt mean, and also like the only sentence with both feet on the ground. The call ended. The guilt texts kept coming, but lost weight each time I didn't pick them up. On Sunday, the group chat lit up with a photo of Mason holding a ribbon-cutting dagger in front of a banner that said, "Mason's Mobile Detail." The caption read, "We did it, family." I liked the photo and put the phone down. It buzzed instantly with a DM from Mason. "Loan me $3K for supplies." Quick turnaround. I typed, then erased 5 versions of a speech. Then I sent, "No." Then I turned the phone off and went for a walk. When I got back, there were 12 messages. "Selfish. You changed. Grandma's favorite now." I set my phone to only allow Grandma's calls. It felt like turning a key. There were empty spaces, too. Spaces that used to be filled by errands and last-minute demands. I filled them with small things that felt like mine. I ate breakfast sitting down. I ironed my work shirt the night before instead of yanking it from the chair. I bought a cheap planner and wrote water bill and laundry and sleep in it, like they were important events. I put cash in the envelope under the floorboard in the new place, not because I expected someone to take it, but because it reminded me I could keep it. Ivy texted once, late. "Are you mad at me?" I wrote back, "No. I'm done playing the part." She read it and didn't reply. 2 days later, she asked, "Will you drive me to the airport?" I sent, "No, but I'll pay half your Uber." She sent a thumbs up. That felt like the first adult trade we'd ever made. A week after that, Grandma took my hand across the table. "Your grandfather used to say closure is the expensive word for boundaries. You found both." "I wish I'd found them earlier," I said. "You found them when you were ready," she said. "Most people never do." On payday, I logged into my new account. There was a deposit from the trust labeled 21st allocation reinstated. There was a note, "Use for education or tools." Tools. I stared at the word. I wasn't going back to school this second, but tools made sense. I bought good black non-slip shoes that didn't destroy my knees. I bought a second-hand laptop that was mine. I signed up for a community college class on bookkeeping because the restaurant manager said, "You have a head for systems," and maybe I do. Mom sent a long email titled Family Meeting Proposal. It had bullet points, reunification steps, transparency, rebuilding trust. In the middle, a line, "Caleb will apologize for overreacting." I deleted the email. I didn't write a speech about why. I just pressed delete. It felt like I'd dropped a sack of wet laundry. The town kept spinning. Church people speculated. The car lot kept limping along. The diner kept running out of ranch. My life got very boring in ways that made my chest unclench. Every Tuesday, Grandma and I ate the same soup. She told me the same stories about Grandpa's rounds, and the first time she heard his laugh. "He would have liked you speaking up," she said one afternoon. "I wish he'd been here to see it," I said. "He was stubborn," she said. "You two would have collided. That's how steel is made." I laughed. "You and your metaphors." She shrugged. I read books. I went home and filed my papers in a folder labeled mine. I'm 22 now, almost 23. I still work at the restaurant, but I also do a few hours a week in the office, learning the software no one else wants to touch. I pay rent on the 1st. I buy groceries that don't come pre-frozen. I text Ivy memes that aren't passive-aggressive. I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb for almost everyone. I answer when Grandma calls on the first ring. My parents still post photos with captions about family first. They send occasional group texts about holidays. I send back neutral answers. I don't go to meetings because meetings in our family are just ambushes with coffee. Privileges. She pushed for an audit. She added a separate sub-account with my name alone on it and texted me a photo of the debit card. Pick it up from me. We will set rules together, she wrote. No exclamation marks, no guilt. I biked to her house on my break and hugged her on the porch. She smelled like lemon soap. Sit, she said. Eat. She handed me a sandwich wrapped in wax paper, like I was a kid again. But there was no humiliation in it. Just care. We set rules. My rules. Not Mom's, not Dad's, not Mason's. I would not co-sign anything. I would not front money and wait to be repaid. I would not carry silence for anyone's comfort. Grandma would talk to me directly, not through family channels. If she wanted to give me anything, it would go to the new account. If she wanted to say no, she'd say no, and I would accept it. Then, the other rules, the ones for me. I would move out of the house in the next 30 days. I would save 1 month's rent cushion. I would stop letting my parents turn my time into theirs. I would answer only messages that used my name and a question, not guilt scripts. I found a room above the nail salon near the diner. It was small and clean, and the landlord didn't care that my hours were weird. Don't bring parties, she said. I never bring parties, I said. She nodded. Good. I moved in 2 trips. The first trip, Dad was waiting on the porch. You're making a mistake, he said. I'm making a choice, I said. You think you're better than us now? I think I'm separate from you, I said. It sounded colder than I meant, but it was true. Mom stood behind him with a Tupperware. She didn't offer me any. You'll come crawling back, she said. And for the first time, I saw the script she was reading from. The one that keeps her safe. Asterisk, if I leave, I must fail. If I fail, she must be right. If she's right, nothing has to change. Asterisk, I hope I don't, I said. I hope none of you does. Mason leaned on the railing. You're making it dramatic. You forged my name, I said. He rolled his eyes. That was Dad. Dad didn't deny it. I carried my box to the car. It was light. Most of my life fit into one back seat. The first week alone felt like stepping off a treadmill I didn't know I was on. My phone was quiet. I put it face down and didn't touch it for hours at a time. I took morning walks before the heat kicked up. I learned the sound of the bakery mixer starting up at 6:15 a.m. I bought a calendar and wrote down my shifts in ink. I wrote, nothing, on 2 mornings and kept them empty on purpose. Work felt different, too. It was still loud and sticky and full of small, stupid crises, but it didn't follow me home like a wet coat. I said no to covering Mason's friend's catering gig for exposure. I said no to Ivy's, help me when I do see them by accident. At the store, at the gas station, we say hi like neighbors. Mom sometimes reaches for my arm, then stops. Dad tries to joke, then sighs. Mason asks for a quick favor, and I say no. And he says, whoa. And I go on with my day. Here's the part people always want to know. Did I ever get an apology? Not a real one. I got, we were under stress. I got, you know how your father is. I got, you've always been so independent. It's fine. I used to think I needed the exact words to move forward. Now I know moving forward is the proof I don't. I didn't cut them off. I cut the rope that tied my wallet, my time, and my peace to their emergencies. There's a difference. I walk into rooms without waiting for someone to hand me a roll. I don't explain my no. I don't negotiate my boundaries down to a discount version to make people comfortable. Grandma asks sometimes, do you want to change your last name? I say, no, I want to change what it means when I sign it. So here's my simple, unpretty truth, the one I wish someone had put on a fridge magnet when I was 15. I am not the family's credit card. I am not the family's driver. I am not the safety net my parents brag about when they want to look generous. I am a person. I pay my bills. I answer to my own name. I keep the $50 from my 21st folded in my wallet on purpose, not as a wound, but as a receipt. It reminds me what I used to accept and what I don't anymore. The $10,000 is long gone into tuition payments and tools, and a small cushion labeled emergencies that are actually mine. The real gift wasn't the money. It was the moment a woman with a trust and a spine slammed her hand on a table and refused to let me be stolen from. I'm building a small life that fits me. Tuesday's soup, clean shoes, a notebook with numbers that add up, and a phone that mostly stays quiet except for Grandma, and the group chat with 2 of my coworkers where we argue about who makes the worst decaf. I won't allow anyone to forge my name again, on paper, in plans, or in stories they tell about me when I'm not there. And if anyone asks why I pulled back, I won't send a novel. I'll say the one sentence that finally set me free. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. Then I'll get up, tip the boozer, wipe down my own section, and go home to the life I chose. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and your own well-being? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.